Over the last 30 plus years, the Hyundai Sonata has always been a fine choice for buyers looking for a mainstream family car. However, in recent years, in addition to improving the technology, comfort, and value in their vehicles, Hyundai has been on a relentless pursuit to adding a healthy dosage of sport and performance into all of their newer vehicles. Which is why I'm just outside of Los Angeles, California with this particular model. This is the 2021 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. Hyundai bills this car as the most powerful and best handling Sonata ever because they've replaced the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine with a new turbocharged 2.5-liter engine with, get this, 290 horsepower paired to an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. In addition to adding more power, Hyundai has also improved the suspension, improved the steering, and made this the best handling Sonata ever. So the big question I want to answer, with all of the additional horsepower and improvements to the suspension, has Hyundai managed to completely revive the sport-oriented mid-size family sedan segment? That's what we're here to find out. Hey guys, before we get started with the review, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Keeps. Now, did you know that 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35? The best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still have the hair left. This is where Keeps comes in to help guys who are starting to lose their hair a little bit too early. And the best thing about this stuff is you can get treated right from home. You used to have to go to the doctor's office, those awkward doctor visits, and get a prescription. Now with Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get the hair loss medication delivered right to your home. And they make it easy by delivering the medication every 3 months. Now, I've been using this stuff since March of 2020, and I have to say I'm pretty pleased with the results. Prevention is the key, and Keeps treatments can take up to 4 to 6 months before you start seeing the results, so it's important that you act fast. The sooner you get started using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. So if you're ready to take action now and prevent even more hair loss, go to keeps.com/redline or click on the link in the description below where you'll save 50% off of your first order. That's keeps.com/redline, or you can just click on the link in the description below. Now, because this is the most powerful Sonata ever, I figured I'd show you guys what's going on underneath the hood. Now, the regular Sonata has a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder or a 1.6 turbo. Those are fine for commuting. However, this powertrain is special and unique to the N-Line. This is a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder that has a turbo bolted onto it. It's essentially the same engine that's in the Genesis GV80 and G80. And in the Sonata N-Line, it makes 290 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're keeping score, this makes the N-Line Sonata more powerful than the Honda Accord 2-liter turbo, the Mazda 6 2.5 turbo, and less powerful than a Toyota Camry V6, but it has more torque at 311 pound-feet. Now, unlike all those other vehicles, which come with a slush box automatic, Hyundai has developed a new transmission for this vehicle. It's an 8-speed wet dual clutch transmission. It's their in-house design. It's been developed by their team of N-Line engineers. And this transmission is essentially the transmission that's going to set this car apart because it's got really quick shifts. It's going to make this car feel a lot more quick in daily usage. Now, Hyundai doesn't have performance figures yet, but you should get to 60 in under 6 seconds for this car. And really, it's going to make it one of the quickest accelerating vehicles in the segment. Despite all this power, fuel economy is not bad. It's rated at 23 in the city and 33 on the highway. Premium gas is recommended, but you can get away with putting regular in this car. And Hyundai doesn't have the weight figures yet of the vehicle, but the regular Sonata weighs in at around 3,400 pounds. I'd estimate this is probably 100 pounds more. All Sonata N-Lines are only front-wheel drive. All-wheel drive will not be available, and they do not pair this with a limited slip differential. Now, looking at the rest of the styling, as you guys know, Hyundai completely redesigned the Sonata last year. This is now in its 8th generation. This was one of the first vehicles to show off sensuous, sporty design language. And I have to admit, the N-Line model really takes it up to the next level here. I especially like the grille of this vehicle. This is the parametric grille design with the Cascade style. You can see there's a very subtle N-Line badge in the actual grille. Remember, N-Line is supposed to be kind of the in-between point between a full-on N model and a mainstream model. The grille itself has a different blacked out color to it. You also have some blacked out parts here in the lower front fascia. The headlights, these are the full LED headlights that you get on the other Sonatas. You also have this LED daytime running light that kind of goes into the actual chrome trim piece that's over the hood. And then just like the other Sonatas, Hyundai was very proud of the fact that they were able to kind of pull the hood right over the grille. So there's no cut line here that kind of breaks up the grille and the hood, which makes this car look a lot more clean. I think it's a really nice look, especially in this Stormy Sea dark blue metallic exterior color. This is probably the color that I would personally choose for myself. Now, Hyundai did introduce a new chassis for this generation Sonata, and as you can see, they've been able to improve everything: the ride quality, the handling, the stiffness of the chassis. The N-line model is essentially the same size at 192.9 inches long overall. It's about the same size as all of its competitors, but unlike the regular Sonatas, you do get upgraded wheels and tires. These are a 19-inch wheel wrapped in 245 width tires. This is not a summer tire, although it looks like it's more of an aggressive all-season design, but these tires are about 10 millimeters fatter versus the regular Sonatas, and the brakes are also slightly larger. There's a very subtle N-line badge here. This is the only N-line badge that you're going to find on the sides. There's no N-line badge on the rear. I also like the black painted mirror here, and as you can see, this big panoramic sunroof, that actually comes standard on every N-line model. Essentially, Hyundai just gives you the N-line, and there are no options to add. Everything comes standard, and this comes with a lot of standard equipment, which should appeal to a lot of buyers. Now, looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see Hyundai didn't really make too many changes to this car in terms of the styling. There's a very subtle black rear deck lid spoiler over here. The trunk lid itself kind of has its a built-in spoiler into it with these vortex generators. The taillights are kind of an LED combination design. The turn signals are even LED, which is nice. You have this LED strip that connects the two taillight modules together. And then down here you can see its own unique rear diffuser and a quad outlet exhaust system. Hyundai says the exhaust is sport tuned, so let's fire it up and you can hear how it sounds. So the quad exhaust system on this car looks pretty good. Let's finally hear that engine though. So it's definitely a little bit more aggressive sounding. It could be louder, but remember, this is supposed to be more of a grown-up sporty sedan. Yeah, it's not super loud.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It doesn't hang as bad as I thought it would.
Okay. And the sound is pretty good. It's definitely not going to be as loud as a full-on Veloster N, but that's not the mission of the Sonata N-Line. Now, opening up the trunk capacity, you can see Hyundai actually hides the button right above the H logo here. When you push that, it opens up the trunk to reveal just around 15.3 cubic feet of space, which is a little bit more than what you get, obviously, in the Elantra. The seats themselves fold down in a 60/40 manner, so it's a very usable trunk. So the exterior changes are pretty subtle on the N-Line, so it doesn't surprise me that the interior is also not changed too much, although it didn't really need to. The current Sonata's interior is one of the best interiors in the mainstream segment. And as you can see, the N-Line only comes with this black interior color combination with a lot of the red accent stitching. I love the seats as well. These are upgraded N seats, N-Line specific seats with the suede Alcantara, the leather, the red stitching. They are a little bit more aggressively bolstered. The seats themselves are only heated. Hyundai does not offer cooled seats or memory seats, and the passenger seat is a manual. You get a 10-way power on the driver's side. Now, when I shut the door, it has a relatively solid sounding thunk. The rattle you heard was actually the water bottle. Let me try that one more time. So yes, it sounds relatively solid, so it adds to that impression of quality. Here's the key fob for the vehicle. It's the newer Hyundai key fob. This particular model does not offer the Smart Park feature, so you're going to have to step down to a non-N version to get that feature. When you start up the car, you can see the gauges are definitely very attractive looking. I also really like how they are customizable depending on the drive mode, or you can also just change them completely yourself. In terms of the rest of this cabin, this 12-inch display is standard, and this 10.25-inch display is also standard, which is a really nice addition. You don't have to add any option package, so I like that Hyundai gives you the big display as standard. You also get an N-specific steering wheel. You can see the leather is nice and high quality feeling. You have this red stitching. I'm surprised that they didn't do like a 3-spoke wheel or a flat bottom design, but it's definitely different, and it does feel a lot more special. Looking at the door panels, you can see it's got a soft touch injection molded plastic. Hyundai throws in the 12-speaker Bose stereo, which sounds good. The window controls feel very high quality. The front windows are one-touch automatic up and down. The rear windows, however, are not. I believe they should have just made that one touch for all windows. It's nice and padded over here. There's a nice little grab handle over there, and then down here you can see there's some good storage. This is just hard touch plastic down there. I also really like the alloy sport pedals that you get on the N-Line model. They are specific to that. You have these paddle shifters, which are also nice. The steering wheel is manual tilt and telescoping in its design, offers a good amount of adjustability and range. And then as you can see here, this infotainment system is one of the best ones in the business. I like how it's the widescreen orientation, and if you'd like, you can also expand out the CarPlay to take up the entire screen. You can do that in the settings, which is nice. You have, you know, your vents down here, dual zone automatic climate control. You can see just 3-level heated front seats, no heated rear seats, and no cooled seats. You have to go to the limited trim to get that. Over here you can see there's a wireless phone charger, 2 USB ports, and then you can see this controls your 8-speed dual clutch transmission. When I put it into reverse, you can see there's the backup camera and just parking sensors. There is no 360 camera available on the Sonata N-Line. Your drive mode selector is over here. It's a toggle. If you cycle between that, you can go between a custom, sport. You can see the gauges change, sport, regular sport, and then a normal mode. The Sport Plus setting automatically turns off the traction control, which is nice. And then you can see there's a detailed look there of what it actually looks like when you change it. This car also comes with navigation built in. You can see there's the Hyundai navigation system. They've really improved it over the years. The graphics still aren't really that impressive, but it's very snappy and responsive, and it looks good when you do the entire 10.25-inch display. You can see this is your padded armrest here with a pretty good amount of storage in the center console. And then above me, you can see that panel roof is standard, which is nice. There's a power sunshade, there's LED lighting in the cabin, and this glove compartment you can see is damped but not lined with felt. It's a pretty decent size, and I just love the materials in here. So overall, everything I like about the regular Sonata interior is here. Of course, they've jazzed it up with a couple of N-Line specifics, but I just love how well equipped this car is, although you don't get the memory seats, like I said, and you don't get the cooled seat options. Now looking at the back seat of the Sonata N-Line, just like the regular Sonata, Hyundai says you get around 34.7 inches of legroom back here, which is not a lot by the numbers. It seems like with this redesign, they gave us less legroom. However, in the real world, it actually is pretty roomy. I'm 5'7". I have very good legroom back here. There's a good amount of foot space. The floor is not completely flat, but you can fit 3 across in here. Hyundai gives you a USB port over here. You have 2 rear seat air vents, and then no heated rear seats. I was kind of expecting to see that, but this interior is pretty nice. Above me, there's a pretty big panoramic sunroof. You have 1 map pocket over here, and then if you fold down the armrest, you get a cup holder here. And I also really like the seats. The seats have the 2-tone suede Alcantara and the actual leather material. It's a really nice looking interior, and the back seat, I find it to be actually spacious in the real world. The materials back here are also soft touch. So Hyundai did a pretty good job with keeping the aspect that this is a family car. So about a year ago, I drove the all-new 2020 Sonata, and I've been waiting to drive the N-Line, which is the sport-oriented version of this car. It's the most powerful Sonata ever built by Hyundai. And this model has an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. It's an in-house designed wet dual clutch transmission, and this is replacing the 7-speed dual clutch that Hyundai previously used in all their other products. It also has nearly 300 horsepower, so this is significantly more power than what you find in the Accord 2-liter, but less horsepower than what you get in the Toyota Camry, but significantly more torque. And right off the bat, this is my first time driving this car. I'm pretty impressed with the way it accelerates. This is only a front-wheel drive vehicle. Hyundai says they won't be doing all-wheel drive in the N-Line Sonata, which surprises me because the Tucson N-Line that's apparently coming out next year will offer all-wheel drive. And I kind of think that Hyundai should consider offering all-wheel drive, but I will say just right off the bat, it's putting the power down a lot easier, or a lot better than I expected it to. The sound is also a pretty interesting sound. You can use these paddles here for the 8-speed. Very quick shifting and very responsive. And I'm just impressed. This is definitely in another league versus all the other mainstream cars. Obviously, this is not going to be super loud like something like an Audi S4 or a C43, but there's nothing else really in this segment that can compare. I mean, sure, you could compare it to a Camry TRD, but the transmission in this car is far superior versus the 6-speed or the 8-speed slush box that's in the Camry. A dual clutch is just so much better for performance. It's just extremely well matched to this engine, and You feel it, it's quick. This thing, I've been seeing people claim the 0 to 60 times are around or Hyundai says it's under 6 seconds, 5.8 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if you could do this in 5.5 seconds. And the cool thing about this transmission with the dual clutch is it actually has a launch control feature, which we shall try. Now in terms of handling, Hyundai has upgraded the steering, it's quicker ratio. The suspension also is a little bit firmer, more sport tuned. And the results are definitely noticeable. This is one excellent handling family car that is on the border of, dare I say, sporty sedan. Obviously you're going to feel the fact that it's a front drive car, but the steering offers a lot of feedback. It has a nice heft to it. The car stays nice and flat. The ride quality is firmer than the last Sonata that I drove, but I wouldn't say it's overly harsh. I think the ride is firm to the point where it's going to remind you this is not your mother's Sonata. This is definitely going to be attracting an enthusiast, younger, more male audience. But I'm pretty impressed with the N-Line. They've delivered a package that I think is going to appeal to a lot of people, especially if you guys want a sporty family sedan. So to engage the launch control, let's see.
Sport Plus, right?
Yeah, and then Alex said turn off everything. So to engage the launch control, you have to put it in Sport Plus, turn off everything, and then floor the brake and the accelerator. Oh, shit. That was wrong. It's this. Oh, Alex warned me about this, and now I just f***ed it up.
It said launch control ready.
I know, I was trying to adjust the RPM. So let me try that again. So,
by throttle modulation, or
yes,
can you preset it?
You can actually adjust it. So push or turn everything off. Okay, so once you so once you have it in Sport Plus, you turn off all the nannies, then you floor it. Launch control not met. Oh no, now it's not giving. Oh, Alex warned me of this shit.
Is there a reset time? Turn it off, turn it on. Maybe. I don't know.
Launch control system.
Like turn the car off and on, maybe.
Maybe. Oh, that's so annoying. That's so annoying.
Nothing's happening. Everything's fine. Why are the flashers on?
Oh, I was turning them on because there's cars coming. Okay, so let's try this again. We will put it into Sport Plus. We will turn all the nannies off. Okay. Now we want to floor the brake and the accelerator.
Launch control conditions
not met. Oh, that's annoying.
What is it you're trying to do? Adjust the launch?
Oh wait, I'm not in drive. That's why. Okay, I'm trying to adjust the launch control, the RPM where it launches at. Alex said increase the speed to the higher, make it rev higher.
Right.
And you do that by this toggle, but I started flipping that toggle and that f***s it up.
And you were in park.
Yeah, I was in park. Oh my God.
Off and on again.
That is so annoying.
Nothing, everything's fine.
I can't believe I fucking... Alex warned me and now I can't seem to get the launch control in this car. All right, drive. Sport Plus. This is way too complicated. Turn off all the nannies.
I'm gonna have fun editing this.
Okay. Brake hard, floor the accelerator.
Make sure there's no traffic. There's traffic.
Okay, I will wait then. I just had it too, that sucks. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Floor the brake, floor the accelerator. Very impressive. Okay. Definitely feels like a mid 5-second car. The launch control is also kind of annoyingly finicky to get it to engage, because if you don't get it right the first time, I wanted to adjust the rev speed or the RPMs where it launches at. You use the toggle on the steering wheel to do it. Don't toggle the drive mode because it cancels it, and then you have to shut the car off and restart it. So that's kind of annoying. You can see there's my foot to the floor. It is pretty responsive. And I like the shifts. They're firm and quick, but not too harsh. And even though this is only front-wheel drive, you guys felt it back there. It didn't really burn out the front tires as much as I thought it was going to. I was expecting it to do some torque steer, some wheel hop, but no, this is easily faster than the last 2-liter Accord that I drove, faster than a Mazda 6 Turbo, faster than a Camry V6 as well. Ooh, That's nice. I like the sound. It's an augmented noise, obviously, but I'm okay with it because it is a nice sounding 4-cylinder. Remember, this is the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder with a turbo strapped to it. It's the base engine with a turbo added to it, and then it's strengthened internals. So I'd say that Hyundai has created a new segment in the mainstream midsize family sedan that, you know, we've never really truly had. I think the last time we had something like this, it was the Altima SER, which was a long time ago, which had really bad torque steer, or maybe even the Mazda Speed 6, which was, again, a couple decades ago almost, and that car was a lot more raw and a little bit harder to daily drive, versus Hyundai says for this car, you can essentially daily drive it every day. It's comfortable enough yet fast enough to keep you happy.
When you were doing the launch control, so you were changing the launch RPM while you were holding the RPM?
Well, yeah, like my foot was to the floor.
Do you think that to be a preset thing? Why wouldn't they make that hey, when you do this, it's going to be launched at whatever, not while you're actually doing it?
That's what I thought too. I think it's this toggle.
But you didn't do any adjustment there, did you?
No. I wonder if I can
try it one more time.
Yeah, I want to try it one more time.
Not from here, obviously.
Yeah, no. I want to actually fiddle with the settings a little bit more. See how bad it burns out its wheel here. I floor it. So yeah, you didn't think you'd have this much fun in a Sonata, but obviously, because it doesn't have a limited slip diff, it's going to spin out its front tires when you're making a turn and flooring it. But you know what? For no LSD, I think it's the dual clutch and just the way the suspension is set up, Hyundai has done an amazing job with making this thing accelerate as well as it does, considering it only drives the front wheels, and it has over 310 pound-feet of torque going to those front wheels.
That just makes no sense that they would have you set it in the middle of you doing your launch.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I think it's this toggle, because that one controls the radio, so it has to be this toggle.
Right.
Where you can adjust the revs.
It's just strange that it's while you're doing it. So.
Well, I don't know. This is the only toggle I can think of, because that's cruise control, that's volume, that's the.
What about the OK one?
That's what I was adjusting. Was this one?
What's to the right of it?
This one's cruise control.
I mean, maybe it changed. Obviously, you're not using cruise control at the time, right?
Oh yeah, that's sort of. All right.
There we go.
Wow. All right, the launch control is kind of finicky, but it is very effective. So, Hyundai, you can consider me impressed with this new Sonata N-Line. And even though this is not a full-on N version of the Sonata, it's pretty darn close. And it represents a very, very enticing new addition if you guys are looking for a fun, sporty, mainstream family sedan that is definitely well-tuned and just different from its regular version. So about a year ago when I first drove the new Sonata, Hyundai gave me an opportunity to drive one of these N-Line models when it was camouflaged, and I was pretty impressed initially. And after spending the day driving the full production model, I have to admit I am still very impressed. What Hyundai has delivered here is a mainstream mid-size family sedan that is genuinely sporty, feels a lot more sporty than the current Accord Sport, a Mazda 6. It's definitely borderline getting on the Camry TRD, but unlike the Camry, which had a better sounding exhaust, this has a much better transmission. This is definitely the quickest accelerating mid-size mainstream family sedan that you can buy nowadays. And really, it's what makes the Sonata N-Line super appealing is because it's essentially restarting a segment that we haven't seen in the US for the last 15, 20 years from the Altima SER and a Mazda Speed 6. So really impressed that Hyundai decided to revive that. I'll be curious to drive the sister vehicle to this car, which is the K5 GT. Now, speaking of which, if you guys want to purchase one of these N-Lines, they go on sale next month in December, and the starting price of the N-Line model is $33,350 plus a $995 destination charge. That makes it the most expensive Sonata in the lineup, because remember, a regular Sonata starts at around $24,000, so it's $10,000 more. This is about $1,300 more expensive than an Accord Sport with a 2-liter turbo, but I'd argue that it's worth every penny considering the fact that this does feel significantly more sporty and just more uniquely tuned versus the Accord. Now, with no options to add with destination, you're looking at around $35,500, which is an absolute steal for something like this. It's going to make a lot of people question the need to go to a performance brand like an Audi S4 or a BMW M340i. I mean, those are obviously faster, but this car with its heavy list of standard equipment, the premium features on the inside, and just the way it accelerates with that amazing dual clutch transmission, it's a car that I think a lot of enthusiasts should consider putting at the top of your list if you're looking for a mainstream family car that just has a little bit more of an edge to it. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2021 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.